Okay, so you probably don't want to use the fast travel glitch to get inside the silos at Sunshine Tidings Co-op like I did with the house in Jamaica Plains. You'll get yourself stuck. Help, I can't get out. What's up, class, and welcome to another lesson in the No Mod Shop class here on the Skooled Zone. Actually, this is a sequel video to the video I posted on self-powered objects. So, for this video to make any sense, you're going to want to pause this video and check out that video first if you haven't already. Before we get into the follow-up notes and experiments on this technique though, I just want to give a huge thanks to all of you for helping the channel pass 100,000 subscribers. That's a huge milestone for me and I'm just so humbled by that. It's been a wonderful journey so far and it only gets better from here. This isn't going to be my celebration video though, that comes at the end of the month. And I'm starting to compile the videos that you guys are sending in. So if you want to get featured in that video, I'll leave a link in the description, the iCard above for that video so you know what I'm talking about. Get on it and celebrate with me. Okay, so for those of you who are caught up on what's going on with the double wire glitch from last week, I've actually decided to rename it the Wi-Fi glitch. You know, at least for when I'm referencing it during my tutorials on the channel, you guys are welcome to call it whatever you want. While the double wire glitch more or less describes what you're doing to create the glitch, it's not really describing the end result, which is in effect creating wireless fidelity. Plus it's a catchier name and all that, so we'll just call it the Wi-Fi glitch from now on. Now besides renaming the glitch, I also want to give a second shout out to a viewer named Sebastian who actually left a comment about this glitch on one of my videos way back in the spring. Now I vaguely remember reading his comment, not thinking much of it because his unedited text was a little confusing and hard to visualize. Like a lot of you, I thought all the glitches in the game had already been found and this just didn't seem plausible. He also mentioned some game crashes and stuff, so I didn't bother testing it and the technique basically slipped through the cracks. Same thing happened a few months later with one of the builders in the settlement contest named Katie, who mentioned it in the submission but didn't explain how it was done. It wasn't until James did it the right way by emailing me through the website, fully explaining it, and even sharing a video demonstrating the technique that it finally clicked. However, looking back on Sebastian's comment from March, he was technically the first to explain it to me, so I wanted him to share some credit too. The next thing I wanted to do before we get to the technique updates is show you a few adjustments I made to the settlement here. You know, I'm just playing around in Sunshine Tidings, haven't really dug into a form of build yet. I was going to turn it into a Skooled Zone summer camp theme because it already sort of has that vibe, you know. But then the glitch came to my attention and I've just been using the area to test things out so far. So, the first thing, as you can see, I tried to turn the missile turret into a security hover rocket, you know, as an alternative to my turret copter idea. It came out okay. That's pretty cool, I guess. Alright, the other thing is, I figured out something kind of cool if you want to get your powered armor closer to a wall. You can actually rug glitch the armor rack. You know, you just rug glitch it farther into the wall, and then you, instead of facing the opposite direction to step out of your armor, you can step out of your armor facing the wall as close as you can get to it, and it'll pop it into place. So as you can see, it's sticking out the back here, but it still looks pretty cool, you know? And then added a Wi-Fi cycling light there to give it that purple glow. Pretty cool. I'll do some more stuff in here. I'll probably make this like the tool shed or something. And then the other thing is, I found a better use for that wireless power door and the wireless switch. Check it out. Now that is cool. And that also answers one of the questions a few people had. Can you create remote door switches? So the answer is yes. In fact, I can move this switch wherever I want in the settlement and I get no red outline barriers. Which, by the way, is another amazing feature of the Wi-Fi glitch. Not only does the glitch make the wires invisible, or, you know, fails to render them depending on how you look at it, but it also removes the placement restrictions that even the regular wire glitch is limited to. So that opens up tremendous possibilities, you know, when you don't have that red outline limiting you because the wires are basically not there to have collision problems. Okay, besides mentioning that, another technique update that came in from a viewer named Chris is that you don't have to focus the wire back on the conduit. You can skip that part and just store the wire directly after the second attachment. I'll give you another quick example. Let's say I want to create another cycling light here. Cycling lights are always awesome. Let's try to hang a little lower so I can reach it. That should be good. Okay, so I'll use this one. Okay, and then... Actually, you know what, guys? Let me exit out of here and go into my settings real quick and just and adjust the look sensitivity here. That should be good. Okay, that way I'm not jittering around. You know, I like the look sensitivity high for combat, but low for building, you know. Okay, so first thing once again. Oh, didn't get it that time. Hang on. Okay, and then great. Now from here, we don't have to focus back down on the conduit. We can just go directly to store the wire. And see, it's still lit. So I appreciate that, Chris. Awesome. Now, I haven't gone through all the comments yet, so others may have commented about that too. But Chris did like James and emailed me through the website and sent me video proof. So good one, Chris. Appreciate that. You definitely streamlined the process for us. He also found a way to delete the generator, but I don't recommend trying that actually, because as soon as you accidentally add another generator, it's going to break all your previous Wi-Fi connections. So it's cool that he found that works too, but I'm not going to personally recommend that in my videos. So my recommendation is just to use one large power source, either the diffusion generator or one of the larger ones from Vaultec. Do all your Wi-Fi connections and then put the generator somewhere out of the way where you can get to it later if it gets damaged, you know, or if you want to add more Wi-Fi connections as you continue to build. So this might not be the most visually appealing video, but I've got all these notes here of things I discovered since the original video. Oh, and at the end of the video, I mentioned that you can do this with conduits as well and turn them into Wi-Fi hotspots. Well, I did that with the booster rocket turret up there. I created a single Wi-Fi conduit and then placed it in between the fire barrels so that I could have those lights underneath be powered remotely. So that's a great example of the conduit hotspot technique. Now, some other notes I mentioned in a pinned comment, but I might as well emphasize them here. You know, not everybody reads all the comments. First of all, you can feel safe rewiring your settlements and then fast traveling away. They'll all still be there. Same thing goes with exiting your game and coming back to it later. In fact, you can just think of this glitch like the regular wire glitch. It works the same way, you know, except 10 times better because it doesn't render the wires and there's no restrictions on collision placement. Now, same goes with your generator if it gets damaged from a raid. You know, you just repair it as you normally would. I'll show you real quick. Okay, so see how that's out? So we're just going to go into workshop mode, repair that, lights back on again. All right, we're good to go there. And also, you know, if you want to turn everything off from your generator, like some people might like to do, that's fine too. Things will power off and then power back on again normally when you turn the power back on later. And you can move the generator with no restrictions. You can even sink it into the ground and you can hide it in a wall or, you know, like that silo from the beginning of the episode. Just make sure you leave the rugs in there so you can pull them back out again, okay? Now, did you notice when I was standing here earlier that the spotlight was not working? This spotlight has been placed here using the Wi-Fi glitch. So stick around in just a moment. I'm going to show you how to recreate the spotlight glitch solution using the Wi-Fi glitch technique, okay? But first, I want to show you that you can also chain a switch to a powered object using the Wi-Fi glitch. While we still have some darkness. Okay. For example, check out these two cycling lights. They're both powered using the Wi-Fi glitch, okay? One of them is powered directly to the generator, the red one, and the blue one is Wi-Fi glitched to this switch, all right? So if I hit this switch, as you'd expect, the blue one goes out, the red one stays on, because the red one doesn't have a switch in between the connection to the generator. So that's a great example of chaining the Wi-Fi glitch. Now you guys can come up with all kinds of creative ideas on how you can chain the wire glitch. The only thing that can get tricky is that if you have a bunch of different items wired to switches across your settlement, you might forget which switch goes to what because there won't be that visual cue of the wire. So maybe if you start getting into some really complicated builds, you might actually want to draw yourself, you know, a little electrical diagram, so to speak, so you know what's leading to what, which is what they actually do in real life when they hide the wires, you know? Now, If you really go overboard with this glitch, especially in a build where you've gone over the size limit, then you might run into some game crashes. So fair warning on that, okay? Don't come back and blame me later when your entire game is crashed. Just remember, moderation is the key, okay? The game is trying to keep track of what's actually being wired to what, and if you start forcing it to do a bunch of extra calculations, you're obviously going to put strain on your GPU. So what I would recommend is don't use the glitch just to use it when it's not needed, you know what I mean? So don't use it on like a massive light box wall when all the wires are going to be hidden behind the wall anyway. You know, that's just a redundancy. Now, the rocket booster turret thing is a great use for it because you wouldn't want to see a wire going up from the ground to the conduit or the missile turret. So you guys get the idea. Now, some people have asked about infinite power. Like, does this technique allow you to use a small power generator and get more power out of it by using this glitch? So let's try that out, okay? I already know the answer, but showing is always better than telling. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go into workshop mode, and let's just grab a new generator. We'll get one of these small ones that only produces power of 3, and let's get another great use for this Wi-Fi glitch technique, and that is the decontamination arch. I'm going to put it over here, temporarily, of course. Okay. So, let's see here. Conduit. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to wire that to that. Okay, I'm going to have to crouch to do this. Okay, so wire glitch. And then point at that thing. There we go. Nope, store the wire. Okay, so this should be powered now. Perfect. See, the reason this is so cool is because no restrictions on moving it now. As long as it can be placed in the ground where you want to place it, the wires aren't going to limit you anymore. So that's awesome. Okay, so next thing, let's see here. Let's grab a turret that's going to use some power like the, like the shotgun turret, okay? So I'm going to place that here. Okay, so this generator produces 3. This decontamination arch requires 2 units of power, and this requires also 2 units of power for a grand total of 4. This is only producing 3. Let's see if this will work. And as you can see, it does not work. All right, it's going to need 1 more unit of power from somewhere. So unfortunately, the Wi-Fi glitch does not produce infinite power, okay? The reason I've been able to wire all this stuff here already, you know, besides this little experiment, is because that fusion generator over there generates 100 power. So that's why I would recommend starting off your build with just, you know, the biggest single generator that you can find, and then create that sub conduit like I did at my sanctuary build, you know, when I showed you the original invisible wiring technique. All right, so I'm going to reload so I don't waste resources on this, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I am reloaded, and as you can see, that spotlight has gone out. All right, it's such a shame, man. That is a glitch they should have fixed years ago, but you know, what are you gonna do? It's Bethesda. But if you've been following the Skooled Zone, we came up with a solution for it. Actually, we came up with 2 solutions for it. The first one I came up with myself involved the interval switch, and then another viewer, which I'll link to that video so you can hear his credit, suggested adding 2 and changing the interval between them so that the spotlight stays on almost indefinitely. So what we're gonna do here is recreate that solution using the Wi-Fi glitch, okay? So the first thing I'm going to need to do is go ahead and store this spotlight because it is currently wired. As you can see, it's got power. It's wired to that generator over there, okay? So we want to start over with that. Okay, and what I'm going to do first is we're going to actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and build it. This is awesome. This is my portable street light. It's just fantastic. So I'm going to put that here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get out a couple of interval switches. There we go. Okay, so these are going to switch on and off repeatedly, and the time in between them is going to be dependent on the terminal. Okay, so I'm going to put one here and one here. And then let's grab this terminal, my portable terminal now. Drag it over here and just hook it up to this first one. Let's program this one for an on time of the max. I'm going to set this one for 10. And an off time of the minimum, which is 1 second. Okay, and then I'm going to disconnect that wire. Exit out of here. Interval switch. On time. Now for this one, I'm going to set it to 8 seconds. And the off time, 1 second. Now hopefully that'll differentiate them because these aren't hooked up to the generator yet. Okay, so let's Wi-Fi glitch these. And store. Let's do it again. And store. Okay, so these are both being powered now. And they look like they're different. That's great. Okay. So now we're going to Wi-Fi glitch these to the spotlight. Okay, so let's get out the spotlight, which I believe is in defense, actually. There it is. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we need to create a new conduit that isn't connected. Let's see here. I don't think these are Wi-Fi glitched, but that's one of the problems, you know? I don't know. So I'm just going to start out with a fresh conduit. Hook that up. There we go. Okay. Now let's do the same thing for this one. Okay, so these two interval switches here should be controlling the onset and offset time of this spotlight, okay? So I can get rid of that. I can set these interval switches wherever I want now. So that's what's great. I can set these over in the corner here, you know, or I can set them in that little shed. Just going to put this one over here because it's the 10. All right. Now I can set this wirelessly controlled spotlight that's been fixed right back where I had it before. Okay, one of the things that's kind of annoying about that spotlight is that it doesn't cooperate with you as far as perspective goes, but I think I got it this time. Let me center it a bit more. Oh, how cool is that? I'm just so happy about that. I can bring my mobile street light back over into view. All right, that is just awesome. Okay, now that should stay on, forever. I mean, it's gonna maybe every 2 or 3 minutes or stuff, it'll shut off for like 1 second. But yeah. All right, guys. Well, I hope some of those additional discoveries and notes helped you out and kind of clarified some more of the amazing things you could do with the Wi-Fi glitch. And continue to add your suggestions down below. I'll be following up with more videos as I start to integrate these more into my lessons. And I'm loving the community participation. That's one of the things I enjoy so much about this channel, is getting you guys involved, All right, well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Like and subscribe and sharing it around. And I'll see you next time on the Schooled Zone. Happy building and class dismissed.